What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. Force here with some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be looking at a game between EG's DeMusliM and I am NesTea. This is going to be another Terran vs Zerg. I know the last SC2 commentary I did was also a TVZ, but I saw these games back to back and I saw these two players here, DeMusliM and NesTea, and I really absolutely positively had to do a second TVZ just because I love both of these players, both NesTea and DeMusliM. Speaking of which, let's get some info here. We are here on the map Shakuris Plateau. Our blue Terran player spawning over here in the lower right hand spawn position is EG's DeMusliM. DeMusliM recently took third place at the IEM Season 5 European Championship. Also took third place at the ESL Pro Series in Germany, season number 17. His opponent over here in the lower left-hand spawn position, our red Zerg player, is I am NesTea. NesTea recently took third place at the IGN Pro League Season 4. Also took first place at the 2012 MLG Winter Qualifier in Korea. And there you have it, guys. Two very strong players with some strong showings relatively recently in tournament play. And let's get things started. Uh-oh, here we go. Two SCVs pushing up for some very early scouting. The immediate implication here is that we will be seeing some form of early aggression. It looks like it will be a proxy Rax. If not one, it will be two. DeMusliM. Cha-ching, baby. I knew. Oh, man. I was like, again, I told you, I was like, these are great players. I have to commentate these games. And this is the kind of stuff that you're going to get here. Proxy double Rax here from DeMusliM. And he found it. The perfect position. He is going to be hitting NesTea very early on, but here comes the Overlord scout. NesTea with his Overlord pushing across will actually be scouting these proxy racks in just a... Oh, no, never mind. It stops there. Oh, no, he's not going to see it. I'm so excited. You guys have no idea. You have no idea. All right, so we're going to have 2 racks worth of Marines churning out. I am going to assume we're going to see a force canceled hatchery here. If not, NesTea is going to be very hard-pressed to defend this. Look at that spawning pool, not even halfway finished. We've got 2 Marines very close. The biggest thing, though, is that since the racks aren't back here, the Marine reinforcements, they're going to be here so early and so strong. And NesTea has not the faintest of an idea. He has not moved out with a drone scout, and that is going to prove to be quite problematic indeed. One SCV chilling out over here, scouting SCV, checking to see. He's going to spot no gas. This is perfect for him, because without gas, 2 things are going to happen. One, there will be no roaches. There will also be no metabolic boost. First, a bunker getting placed down. Second, SCV pulling on up. We have 2 Marines. Now, we will see NesTea try to drop a spine. He is probably going to need to try to drop a second, as we also have a second bunker. So there's a second spine being attempted. 10 Lings making their way on now, and they're actually going to be here very, very shortly. But we've got 4 Marines already, 2 more coming through, and 2 additional SCVs coming down to join the fun. This is pretty tense situation right here, and let's see how NesTea is able to defend. Trying to pull forward, get us around on the Marines. Nice micro. First bunker finishes, and it's within range. Marines inside of the bunker get a +1 range advantage. With this, he is able to start hitting that hatchery. The spine is out of range at the moment. Trying to get itself repositioned into a good angle. We get that second bunker up, and this hatchery is a goner. More Lings coming on through. We do have this Queen down here as well. Both spines within range, but what's going to happen here is DeMusliM is just going to repair. And even though he's losing resources for repairing here, he's going to drop the hatchery. The hatchery is gone. NesTea trying to pull forward. He's going to try to overwhelm this right now. Lots of Lings moving forward, as well as those Queens. The spines continuing to do some damage. And he gets 1 bunker down. Second bunker getting pretty low. The hatch is still up. Manages to save the hatch, if not... at least for now, if not indefinitely here. He's going to drop this 1 spine now. We're going to see DeMusliM try to take this down. We got those Queens pushing forward. More and more Marines coming on through. Down to just these 2 at the initial engagement, with 2 more reinforcements coming down over here. And NesTea is able to defend. Beautiful defense there by NesTea. Quite impressed indeed. Back at home for DeMusliM, we do have 2 refiners coming on through. He's also building his expansion right now, and we'll be finishing off that wall off. Problem is that he has no Marines to defend at home, so he's going to have to continue up this aggression or try to walk some of those back home. But these Zerglings, without any Marines here, it doesn't matter if he's got the wall. He's got no fire behind that. Nothing at all, so he'll just be forced to constantly repair. Lifting off here, one of the barracks will be moved up to scout. The other one will be heading back home. But look at this, these Lings, what is he? Oh, no, you should be engaging. Oh, NesTea. If he would engage here, he would force repairs from DeMusliM and cost him a bunch of resources early on. Now, we do have these Marines heading back here for DeMusliM, and that's quite possibly what he was worried about. Oh, that's a problem. Not paying quite enough attention. Those Zerglings automatically engaged once Marines started attacking them, and as a result, NesTea lost a few more than he really had to. Marines checking for those Lings. As we can see, they have moved back over here. We do have this Rax scouting again. He wants to look for, what does he want to look for? He wants to look for tech, wants to look for number of extractors, all sorts of things like that. The other Rax over here just kind of dancing about, and DeMusliM is going to try to pull this out of here before it starts burning. That way he doesn't actually have to repair it to save it. I think he might get it out in time unless this Queen decides to pursue. Marines pushing forward, and that's going to force those Lings back. And as of right now, he's just going to be using these to try to defend that Rax. The Queen is trying to engage. Going to be forced back here with all those Marines. DeMusliM, I don't know whether he really needs to do this, though. Drops a scan, get these creep tumors, stop any additional creep spread here from NesTea, force him to drop another tumor if he wants to keep spreading them. A little bit of micro, trying to push back and prevent that surround, but there are just enough Lings here to be able to overwhelm him. And he drops the rest of those Marines. We are seeing a factory transition for DeMusliM, also coming out with another command center. Now this doesn't mean he's getting a third very soon. As is always the case when you see a command center this early, a third one. It means that he will just be using this to mule up by turning this into an orbital and dropping some additional mules, as well as working to saturate that main in the natural. Now it's not quite moving in the natural as of yet, although he can probably do that very, very shortly. Also finally starting to work up some Hellions into play. Back over here for NesTea. That was such an intense opener. I almost got, I got thrown off my game a little bit there. Burning Rax, trying to head back home. We'll see if we get a repair here from DeMusliM or not. Not that he really needs to, since he is quite clearly going to be going mech style play. That is going to be Hellion, Tank, and Thor here from DeMusliM. The fact that he has a third factory in play means he is really committed to that. DeMusliM continues to scout out here with that Rax. Got a Baneling Nest coming on through here for NesTea. Finish that layer. Macro hatch here. Metabolic boost now finally coming through. Starting to work up those Ling numbers and is also getting another Queen. Expansion is up and saturated. Hellions finally in play with that Infernal Pre-Igniter research now almost finished. We also have an Armory and an Engineering Bay coming out here for DeMusliM. NG Bay will be to drop some turrets against mutas. As you can see, we do have a Spire coming out for NesTea. And then, of course, that Armory will be for getting the upgrades there for his mech units, the bulk of his army. Speedling, Baneling, Muta here is what we will be seeing from NesTea. And with that Overseer Scout, finally NesTea is realizing what he's up against. He's going to say, all right, here's the mech play. Coming from DeMusliM, it isn't a Marine tank transition. Instead, it will be mech that I'm dealing with. Will be a little while until we see any Thors in play. We do need to get that Armory through first, and then he can finally start producing one. And let's see if he tries to get one right away. Probably he's going to need to, as you can see that Spire is almost finished here. And I do want to check here, DeMusliM, did he scout out that Spire coming through? No, he hasn't. He does not yet know about the Spire, but given the timing with the delay incorporated from the early aggression from DeMusliM, I think he's expecting NesTea to have mutas soon, which is wise for him because, again, as you can see, Spire now up, and here come the mutas. Overseer without much anti-air to deal with. He's just been kind of chilling out here. Overlord will be now finally pushed back. We do have those missile turrets coming out here for DeMusliM. 2 behind that resource line, 1 over here to protect this. And that first Thor almost finished, and a couple more turrets over here. Hellions moving in, getting a few free kills there. Speedlings and Banelings taking some massive damage. Now with the mutas in play, Hellions are in trouble, but he is going to continue to do some damage until he ends up losing these. Wow, doing so much damage with those Hellions. Let's take a look at the resources lost. NesTea is behind right now. I want to take a look at the number of worker kills too. They're about even, 4 to 3 there. 2 Thors in production, starting to get those upgrades as well for the vehicles. Terran vehicle weapon level 1. Also the Terran armor. Oh, very interesting. Structure armor, that will be to help reinforce those turrets against that muta aggression. And that's actually pretty smart. Very rarely do you see the Terran building armor get researched, but DeMusliM has decided to go for it here. We do have NesTea now moving into a 3rd base. Is he also going to take a 4th right now? It is possible. Speedling, Baneling, Muta, again what we're seeing, although he's preparing for a transition, you can see the missile attack level 1 coming through. And I'm not sure if we have a Roachborn in play or not. Doesn't look like it. I don't see any roaches in play. I don't see a roach warren either. And he is deciding to get that fourth, and I pretty much expected that. I feel like he is pretty comfortable and confident in doing so. He knows he's up against mech, and that means that he knows it's going to be a little while until he gets hit with anything massive. Now, he will have to deal with these Blue Flame Hellion aggression, but besides that, no big pushes coming quite yet. Well, DeMusliM will be waiting until he kind of works up his army a bit. Haven't seen any tanks yet, and in fact, he hasn't even got that siege tech research. So we actually might be seeing a Hellion Thor push here, sans any tanks. That could very well be happening. Right now, just repositioning himself, though, as he prepares to drop his third. Hellion's caught out of position. Muta's trying to move forward. However, 4 Thors will force that back pretty quickly. Overseer gets dropped. Hellions, what are you doing? There. Go back to the Thors, please. Thank you. Congratulations. Was one Hellion over here that has gotten taken care of. Not much else. Again, DeMusliM really not being aggressive at all. The most aggression you typically see here when you're seeing mech play in a TVZ from the Terran player is this type of Hellion aggression. Just small little pushes with Hellions at expansions to try to do some damage. Gets caught by some of those lings. One gets dropped. The second gets surrounded. Beautiful play there by NesTea. Basically prevented both those from doing any damage whatsoever. Are finally starting to see that transition into tanks here from DeMusliM. He's got that siege tech coming through and some tanks in production. Also getting the upgrades here. Where's that second armory? There it is. So again, the armor level, the vehicle plating level 1, also the vehicle weapons level 2 coming out. Not a lot of extra Muta harass, just sitting with these 6 to scout and try to pick off some Hellions. He is transitioning now into roaches with the missile attack level 2 coming out. Also the infestation pit almost done. The Glob reconstitution, that roach speed also coming through as well. DeMusliM moving into a 4th. Ooh, a little bit risky. Just because with the mech play, you're so slow, so immobile, makes it hard to defend these spread out positions here. But he's going to try to move up. Dropping a few turrets. The Mutas will delay this here with the Thors pushing up, plus those Hellions, to prevent against any Speedlings trying to hit those Thors. We'll finally force those Mutas back. Yeah, you can see no Speedlings coming forth, but if they were to push, then he would have been dealt with there from those Hellions. Do need to keep an eye on DeMusliM vision because the Hellion attacks are so fast and so sneaky. Sometimes it's easy to miss them, but I will keep an eye on that blue mobilization. And again, NesTea not doing really too much harass with those Mutas. It's all, honestly, just about trying to pick off some Hellions and get some scouting info. DeMusliM now prepared to make a push. SCVs, Thors, Hellions, and tanks making their way across the map, dropping a scan, checking the unit composition. We have got Roach, Speedling, and a ton of Banelings coming forth. 27 morphing in right now. Let's see what he's able to do here. This is a pretty tense moment. Gonna see a spread here of these forces. Speedlings and Banelings moving up. Hellions trying to move up there to do some damage. That gets taken care of without doing too much. Drops a bunch of those SCVs. Yeah, I was able to get a few SCV kills over there, plus a Hellion or two. Speedlings and Banelings streaming across the map. We'll be forcing DeMusliM back. This is a large force pulling forward, trying to get us around on those Thors, allowing those Roaches and Banelings to push forward. Banelings trying to get back there to the Hellions. Unable to really do so. Splash damage on a bunch of those Thors, able to soften them up a bit, not actually killing them. Continue to push though with a few of those Roaches. Those Thors getting pretty low. Roaches trying to target fire them down. Unfortunately, the rest of that does get mopped up. DeMusliM left with a few units left. Take a look at the resource loss there. How's that transaction work out? NesTea is behind. It wasn't the best engagement for NesTea, but he was really able to weaken up DeMuslim's forces there. And the biggest thing, of course, is that NesTea can very quickly reinforce. When we take a look at the army size right now, NesTea is already back up to 200 supply, with 111 of that being army supply. So he is already capped again after losing a bulk of his force. Again, that's a real big advantage to macro Zerg play. You're able to really quickly reinforce and just kind of slowly and steadily throw your units at your opponent's army. And of course, it takes DeMusliM much longer to regroup because he has to produce units one at a time here out of these factories. Tons of Roaches pushing up, and he will be moving towards DeMuslim's 4th. Let's see what he can do here. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna engage the siege line? Nope, he's going straight up. Here we go. DeMusliM now getting hit here. Roach is going straight for that planetary. Let's see if he can get it down. Mass SCV repair, gonna be delaying this a bit, but he gets it. Drops the planetary, and that hurts. And this is the problem here with Terran mech, is that you're so slow. By the time he gets there, that planetary is gone. Now, he is going to corner these roaches. Likely stop them from being able to escape unless those tunneling claws can come on through. With that, he could actually survive this. Might be able to sneak those out. Although we do have the detection there from those missile turrets, so actually leaving that base will be a little difficult. But he does burrow them. There you go. Very, very nice there by NesTea. Dropping that was absolutely huge for him. We take a look at the income, and NesTea is quite a bit ahead right now. Resources lost. NesTea still behind, although he is starting to catch himself back up. Continuous upgrades come from both players. Vehicle weapon level 3 from DeMusliM. Vehicle plating level 2. Roach is trying to move down. The scan gets dropped. Tank's gonna force him back. Both players pretty near supply cap at the moment. We do have some more upgrades. Missile attack level 3 here for NesTea. NesTea, I do believe, got a Greater Spire as well. There it is, with a bunch of Overlords trying to hide it. Greater Spire will allow for those Broodlords. Speaking of which, here they come. One Broodlord now morphing in. Roaches getting ready to push down. That tank line going to make this difficult. Plus those supply depots right there. So much force splash damage going down. Roach is able to sneak back though. Going to continue to do some damage, trying to drop some depots here. We get a massive push coming from DeMusliM across the center of the map right now. Roaches will finally get taken out, but they are dropping some depots and some turrets in the process. Huge tank line set up here for DeMusliM. Starting to shell out on all these spine crawlers. A couple mutas chilling out over here. Hellions and Thors now moving up into this expansion, going to start to do some economic damage, killing off more and more workers. DeMusliM really hasn't killed off a ton of workers this game, but that is going to be changing right here, right about now. Here come the Broodlords. Nice fungal growth on all those tanks, trapping them in place, allowing those Broodlords to catch up. And the Thors are on the wrong side, and the tanks taking massive damage. Nice play there by NesTea. He's able to take out almost all of the tanks in the center of the map. Those fungal growths were absolutely beautiful from him. Absolutely beautiful fungals, rooting them in place, trapping the Thors on the other side, and allowing those Broodlords to take them out. That was perfect by NesTea. We only have 2 mining bases going on right now for DeMusliM. He is going to need to get that base up here and start to saturate that almost immediately. Transition into Speedlings. Broodlord plus Speedling coming out here for NesTea. Finally starting to see some Vikings for DeMusliM to help deal with this. He's got 4 in play right now with 4 more about to pop. And he is absolutely positively going to need those. Broodlords need to be careful about clumping up. That's going to make the Thor fire much more effective against them. Got a few Banelings coming forth over here. Corruptors also moving forward to help against those Vikings. Forcing the units in the corner here. This is not ideal at all for DeMusliM right now. We're gonna have those Speedlings and Banelings push up into the expansion, force the lift off. Luckily he didn't lose that orbital. That would have been awful for him. Broodlords are going to get taken out here with all these Thors, almost certain. But here come the Speedlings and Banelings popping on the Thors, doing a ton of damage. The Broodlords will be dropped, but not without doing some damage before they do. Lots of damage here coming out from NesTea. Continuing to reinforce with 34 Lings, 4 Corruptors also coming out. That is going to be the last of his Broodlords right now. Yeah, that is it. No more Broodlords in play. More morphing in right now, though. 3 of them. This expansion getting redropped for NesTea. NesTea is fine over here. Fine over here. Oh, those are idle drones. That needs to get back to work. There you go. Notices them at the same time I do. Going to be pulling on back and finally getting some saturation with that. Moving them probably down over here. Corruptors taking out the scouting racks over here. Now the DeMusliM for the economy for DeMusliM is really what's making him suffer this game. He's just hurting econ wise. Has a lot of minerals going right now, but we again finally starting to see that saturation from NesTea, and this should allow him to catch up and be pretty much even, if not ahead. Oh, those damn mules. Mules making that mineral gathering for DeMusliM very high right now. They're about even, though. NesTea is certainly in a good position, econ-wise. Taking a look at the resources lost. NesTea still behind. Army size at the moment, 103 for NesTea, 109 for DeMusliM, 113 for DeMusliM. So actually, DeMusliM is taking the lead right now for army size. We're going to see NesTea getting an expansion over here. I've been really impressed, honestly, with NesTea's play so far this game. It feels like he's behind. You're taking a look at the resources lost and everything like that. But he has also killed off 47 workers. That's important to keep in mind. He's prevented and or dropped this expansion 2 times now. And we're going to see another push. Move forward now with those Broodlords. Going to spread them out to stop any Thor splash damage from being that effective. Corruptors now also moving forward to try to take out those Vikings. That siege line, that is painful. So those ground units here for NesTea. Vikings continuing to dance back and forth, trying to take out some of these Broodlords. Corruptors and Mutas now moving forward, going to force them back. We don't have a lot of Thors in play anymore. Not at all. Not seeing a lot of Hellion counterattacks either. Just not a lot going on. DeMusliM has been so busy defending himself against this pretty persistent aggression that we're seeing from NesTea. Love the transfuses as well here from those queens. That's absolutely beautiful to see. NesTea quite a bit behind. Actually 10,000 nearly resources behind where DeMusliM is right now. This is a very vulnerable position, however. If NesTea could spot this, he could really take advantage of that. Hit that with some Spielings and Banelings. Oh, that'd be some massive damage. It'd be a very quick attack as well. DeMusliM scans the center of the map, spots the forces and the positioning here of NesTea, and prepares to mobilize. Continuing to push on forward, and here we go. NesTea moving to engage him. Broodlords laying down some siege. We do have those nice fungal growths trapping those Hellions in place as well. Vikings straight for the Broodlords. Corruptors really need to assist here. There's only 4 Broodlords left, now down to 3. Corruptors trying to do what they can. Only 2 Broodlords left. Oh my gosh. All of the Broodlords get dropped. Corruptors will be forced back from that Thor fire. And now DeMusliM starts to make the push. He's going to be trying to take out these expansions one at a time in the center of the map. Firstly, moving up here. Upgrade-wise, let's see. DeMusliM is 3-3. Big econ loss right now as the Hellions move up, drop a ton of those workers. See a few of them burrow. A simple scan will take care of that very quickly. Look at how fast Mech will roll over an expansion. This is unbelievable. No scan, so a few of those workers are still alive, luckily. This is looking really scary right now, though, for NesTea. This continued push here from DeMusliM. We get a Roach transition. It's going to push on up without those siege duck tanks. These Roaches doing well. Moving forward, lots of Roaches. But those Thors do so much damage to Roaches, and the unsieged tanks actually aren't that bad against them either. Some pretty heavy DPS from the unsieged tanks, so you just lose that splash damage, and that's it. 24 more Roaches coming forward. Continuous upgrades, still not 3-3 though, which is really unfortunate because DeMusliM is 3-3. That is pretty painful. Unburrowing now, once those Roach reinforcements push on down, start to try to target down those Thors. 2 sieged up tanks back here are going to start to lay out some splash damage. Force back. Looking bad for NesTea here. 2 Hellions still over here doing some damage as well. Man, DeMusliM still with those forces now moving up and again systematically taking out these expansions. Sieging up here on the low ground. More and more Roaches coming out for NesTea. NesTea not able to counterattack right now. He's got nothing going on. He's just focused on this engagement and trying to defend as best as possible. Now getting us around, moving up with some workers as well to try to assist. Provide some distracting fire. Takes out the last of the Thors. The tank gets dropped, and he's able to defend, but here are some Vikings doing some economic damage. Killing off workers. Still have those burrowed workers over there. Quite lucky that NesTea was able to actually salvage those. Really surprised that DeMusliM never ended up scanning that. Gonna be seeing some dropped Vikings over here to do some more economic damage. We'll be forcing NesTea's Roaches to push back. You get to this stage of the game, too, things are just so distracting. After playing for 30+ game time minutes, really start to see players kind of slip up a little bit. So many workers just killed there. Again, DeMusliM now with 48 worker kills so far this game. Still has those Vikings. We'll be dropping those again in the future, most likely, to do some damage. I mean, look at all the Roaches he's keeping at bay here. Just to deal with the threat of that Viking drop. And this means, with these Roaches here, it means he's not being aggressive with them. You notice the positioning here of DeMuslim's forces as well, trying to pin himself in between both of the areas he needs to defend. These 2 bases up here, as well as this base down here. Now, this is still pretty vulnerable, though, but again, we're not really seeing much counter-aggression at all here from NesTea. We'll be seeing a spine to help deal with those Vikings possibly landing. NesTea dropping an expansion again over here, very heavily saturated in this position. We'll likely just be transferring on over a few of those once this hatch does finish. DeMusliM, after that engagement being as successful as it was, I mean, you can see how much damage he did. Now NesTea is about 20,000 resources behind DeMusliM, so really in not that great of a position at the moment. NesTea is going to have to do something to make this up to get himself back in the game, because he is feeling the hurt right now, quite a bit behind. But what is he going to do? I mean, aside from some drop play, which we aren't seeing, that research isn't even here, or using a, fungal growth, trapping those in place, but he's still going to force all those drones off the line. That spine crawler is just not in the greatest spot, and we'll be making all these roaches push back just to deal with that, at which point DeMusliM will just lift off. Spots the roaches, lifts off, says, LOL, take it easy, bud. How unfortunate indeed. So yes, unless we saw a Nidus network come into play here for an ST, it's going to be very hard for him to hit these gathering bases right here. It's not like he can just waltz up into this position with that hefty siege line. So many siege tanks. We'll have a very hard time doing that. So we need to see some sort of response here from NesTea in order to try to hinder the economy of DeMusliM. I mean, these aren't even planetaries. He could do massive damage if he could just get units up here. But that's a problem. Right now, he can't. He's got no means of doing so. Doesn't have Overlord dropping, doesn't have a nice network, and he can't walk up to the front door and just knock and walk himself on in. Not possible. Scan with some very quick Hellions moving across the map, dropping a bunch of the tumors there, denying a bunch of NesTea vision. DeMusliM moving up for an expansion over here as well. Corruptors and Infestors managing a fungal growth. He's going to drop the rest of these Vikings here. Very nice. Actually, is that all of them? Yeah, that was all of them. No more Vikings for DeMusliM. This would be a great time to transition again into Broodlords. The problem, though, is that NesTea doesn't really have the economy. Look at that Vespene. Very, very low. Coming out with a couple of extractors over here. Should be saturating that once those are up. This isn't even fully saturated. Only 2 guys on that. Pretty sure NesTea doesn't know about that. That's one of those things that I mentioned. You start to get later in the game, you start to kind of fall apart. Players, it gets harder and harder to pay attention and focus 100% on everything. And this is a perfect example with only 2 guys on that extractor. DeMusliM now making his next push here. So many siege tanks this time. It is unreal. A few Broodlords coming out. We do have 4 Vikings in play with 3 more coming out. That's going to allow him to deal with those small number of Broodlords. Using the Hellions and the Thors and a few tanks over here to force back NesTea's units and then hit this expansion. Roaches can't walk into that siege line. That is not going to happen at all. And as such, NesTea loses a base again. Terran mech so strong at this point here. NesTea's bases are going to get dropped almost instantly as soon as DeMusliM gets within range. Just those Thors, look at that. My gosh, even with the transfuse, doesn't matter. Drops it almost instantly. Corruptors pulling forward to try to deal with those Vikings before the Broodlords come into play. Still have a lot of Thors and those tanks. More Viking reinforcements coming down as well. Raven hasn't dropped anything yet. Saving up his energy for the PDD, maybe. And the Broodlords now don't have much defense at all. Fungal growth trying to keep a few of these Vikings at bay. Not really working. NesTea calls the GG. There you go. Good game between NesTea and DeMusliM. Quite an exciting game here between DeMusliM and NesTea. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Unfortunately for NesTea, despite his valiant efforts, wasn't able to pull this game out. Terran mech being so strong, he had a very hard time in the later stages of the game actually doing much at all to DeMusliM. Wasn't able to push up onto his expansions. I think maybe had he tried some Overlord dropping or using a Nidus network, he would have had a better opportunity to do some economic damage and as a result kind of get himself back in the game. But again, unfortunately, he did not do so. What do I know though? I am certainly no better than NesTea. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the content, please subscribe. And as always, keep watching and keep owning.